Good morning. We are fortunate to have Timothy Edwards as our guest musician today. He is accompanied by Dr. Gary Smart, and their first piece is Celtic Carol by Lindsay Sterling. Well, that gets us in the spirit of the season. Thank you, Timothy and Gary. Our opening words were written by Erica Hewitt. This is the season of endings and beginnings, when the small signs of dawn pierce through the night and something new is born. But first comes the waiting. First come the lessons of endings and beginnings, the presence of life, the sheltering spirit of love, grieves with those sweeping up the debris of loss, waits with those who restlessly reach out for change, grants us courage in the night to guard each other's dreams for this holy, wondrous universe. Grant us, O universe unfolding in mystery, a sense of your timing. May we loosen our grip on that which doesn't serve us, leaving behind that which we have outworn and outgrown. Teach us the lessons of beginnings. Remind us that such waitings and endings may be a starting place, a planting of seeds, which give birth to what is ready to be born, something right and just and different. A new song, a deeper relationship, a fuller love in the fullness of time. The symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith is the flaming chalice. I invite Cindy Damon to come forward and light our chalice as I read the words of Reverend Joseph Cherry. We light our chalice as we do each week. It is a symbol of our faith. May its light be a beacon of hope for the many, those who feel lost, those who feel threat. May our beacon of hope help you find home. Today is the second Sunday in Advent. The 4 candles, Cindy, may I have some more help from you? The 4 candles on our Advent wreath count down the season of winter's dark leading into the light. Advent is a time of waiting, of cultivating patience. This season asks us to hold faith that all that we are becoming is still awakening under the surface of our lives. On this second Sunday of Advent, as we light the candle of peace, please hear the words of Buddhist nun Pema Chodron. If we want there to be peace in the world, we have to be brave enough to soften what is rigid in our hearts, to find the soft spot and stay with it. We have to have that kind of courage and take that kind of responsibility. That's the true practice of patience. May this time of waiting inspire our courage. May we find the soft spot in the pressures of this season and stay with it as we discern our way forward. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be at ease. May we be at peace in the world. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing our call to worship. You'll find the words in your order of service and on the screen. Good morning again. My name is Elizabeth DeCoux, and on this blustery, rainy morning, I'm very happy to be here with all of you and see you inside this wonderful place of community with the beginnings of our decorations for the holiday season. It's my privilege to serve as your worship leader this morning at Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church, which we often abbreviate as BBUUC. I especially want to welcome any first-time and returning visitors. If you are a visitor, we invite you to stop by the welcome table back by the entrance. At that table, you can learn more about this congregation and about Unitarian Universalism. And you can get a name tag to help us greet you by name. If you want to know more about our faith and this church, we offer classes to help you do just that. You can find out about them at the welcome table. I also invite you to join us in the back after the service for refreshments and fellowship. At fellowship, there will be chairs reserved for those who may have mobility issues. I hope to see you there. There are a lot of things going on at our church, and some of these activities may be just what you're looking for. Our annual holiday potluck, the Jingle Mingle, is next Saturday, December 13th. If you have not yet RSVP'd, you can use the sign-up sheets at the back of the sanctuary. We ask that you RSVP by December 10, so the planning team can have a good idea of how many people are coming. If you have questions, you can ask Jessica or Beth or email Cindy at president@bbuuc.org. During next week's service, we'll be taking a joyful trip to Whoville for our annual religious education holiday pageant. If you'd like to jump into the spirit early, come to the Sophia Foz room after service today at noon to help paint the set for Whoville. People of all ages are welcome to help out. And we have 1 week left to purchase poinsettia plants to decorate the chancel on Christmas Eve and take them home afterward for personal use. The plants will also serve as memorials for a loved one, and their names will be printed in our December Christmas Eve order of service. The deadline for poinsettias is next Sunday, December 14. Details for ordering and the link to order online are in your order of service. For details on all these events, I encourage you to take a look at the announcements in the order of service, as well as our electronic publications, which include the monthly Journey newsletter and the weekly This Week that go out by email. And now a friendly reminder to silence your phones to help maintain a worshipful atmosphere in this sacred space of community. As we noted when we lit the chalice today, this is the season of Advent. It is a time of waiting and hoping. So for our opening hymn, we have a traditional Advent hymn. Our Unitarian Universalist hymn book features lyrics that have been expanded to include everyone, grounded in the Universalist understanding that hope and salvation are for all souls, and that the appearance of a Messiah would bring broader help and healing to us all. I hope the expansive lyrics make it a richer experience for you. I invite the song leaders to come up and lead us in hymn number 225, O Come, Emmanuel. We'll sing all the verses.
Give
As Unitarian Universalists, we do not have a shared, mandated creed that everyone must believe or follow. What binds us together instead is covenant. Our church has its own congregational covenant, and I'll invite you to join with me in saying the words which appear on the screen and in your order of service. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make these promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation. Thank you so much, Timothy and Gary. Your generous gifts support the mission and work of this church. We have modern ways of giving on our website and the QR code in the order of service, and we still engage in the time-honored practice of passing the plate. Whatever your choices about giving, we invite you to participate in this ritual by taking the plate when it comes to you and passing it to your neighbor. I'll ask our offertory ushers, Chuck Smithers and Marilyn Jones, to come forward. When they have finished collecting the offering, I'll invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our offertory hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life. Please rise. Today's reading was written by the Reverend Gretchen Haley. It is entitled, This Act of Faith. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? In these days, we find ourselves too often stuck with these questions on repeat. What is going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? We grasp at signs and markers, articles of news and analysis, Facebook memes and forwarded emails, as if the new zodiac is capable of forecasting all that life may yet bring our way. As if we could prepare. As if life had ever made any promises of making sense or turning out the way we'd thought. as if we are not also actors in this still unfolding story. For this hour we gather to surrender to the mystery, to release ourselves from the needing to know, the yearning to have it all already figured out, and also the burden of believing we either have all of the control or none. Here in our song and our silence, our stories and our sharing, we make space for a new breath, a new healing, a new possibility to take root. That is courage, forged in the fire of our coming together, and felt in the spirit that comes alive in this act of faith, that we believe still a new world is possible, that we are creating it already, here and now. We are fortunate to have Alyssa Halliday in our pulpit today, reading a sermon written by Reverend Sandra Fees. Alyssa is a gifted and beloved member of this church. You can read more about her in the order of service. Welcome, Alyssa. The pulpit is yours.
Thank you, Elizabeth. This is the Reverend Dr. Sandra Fees. Somehow this time of year always seems to sneak up on me. I often feel like I'm lagging behind and trying hard to catch up. For many of us, though not all, there are a lot of activities and preparations to getting ready for winter holidays. There's shopping, feasting, parties, cards, decorating, wrapping gifts, travel plans. Many of these preparations are fun and exciting and creative. They can be highly social. They can bring great joy. And they can stretch people a little thin. They all happen while we continue to do our jobs, go to school, take care of our families. They all happen as we deal with annoyances, loss, difficulties, depression, illnesses, and world events. It's easy to find ourselves consumed by busyness and feelings of overwhelm. That busyness can distract us from some of the less celebrated gifts of the season. We might miss out on the invitation to turn inward, to find our own light. The turn inward is illustrated by the patterns we see in nature. These are the patterns of retraction, darkness, quiet, and waiting, especially waiting. The earth waits for the rebirth of the sun, and so do we. Writer and ecotherapist Bridget Anna McNeil says that we, like the earth, need to embrace the darkness and mystery in order to discover the light. She says, quote, "This winter solstice time is no longer celebrated as it once was, with the understanding that this period of descent into our own darkness was so necessary in order to find our light," end quote. Rather than celebrating the darkness and making the turn inward, she says, many find the descent into their own body a scary thing indeed, fearing the unmet emotions and past events that they have stored in the dark caves inside themselves, not wanting to face what they have so carefully and unkindly avoided. Reverend Fees continues, "So this winter season comes along and invites us to descend into our own bodies. We don't know what we will find there. We suspect that if we get quiet and journey inward, we might come face to face with our own unfulfilled dreams and heartaches and deep-seated fears. Those fears have to do with our wondering, will the light in the world return? Will the light in my life return?" At a literal level, ancient people didn't have the scientific information that we have. They couldn't be certain that the days would once again get longer and the nights shorter. They waited and hoped. They lit bonfires and sang songs to the sun, and they continued to wait for the hours of daylight to grow longer. Metaphorically, contemporary people share with them in the concern of whether the light will be reborn in the world. We wonder if it is possible to find peace after destruction, whether there can be respect for diversity amid divisions, whether there can be healing for planet Earth, whether we can experience joy after loss. Metaphorically, we wonder whether our own gladness and vitality will return and whether we can heal after loss. How long will we need to wait? The shorter daylight hours are a reminder from the natural world that there are no guarantees about how long we will need to wait for the light in our lives to return, or how things will turn out after all of our waiting. Maybe the dog will grab the turkey from the table at Christmas dinner. Flights may get hopelessly delayed. Maybe someone will fall ill, or someone will be in the middle of a terrible breakup. And so it's understandable that some of us would rather be distracted from the journey inward and the prospect of what we might encounter if we go there. Tibetan Buddhist monk Pema Chodron, in her book, Welcoming the Unwelcome, a book that I go back to over and over again, says this: "Our natural human habit is to hope continually for a life of nothing but happiness and pleasure. We're always searching for a way not to feel any of the unpleasant stuff. But we can only embark wholeheartedly on a genuine spiritual path when we start getting the haunting sense that this dream will never come true. Unless we have some inkling of this reality, it will be hard for us to move toward opening to the wholeness of life. Instead, we will continue to follow the habits that keep us stuck in repetitive anxiety and dissatisfaction for generation after generation across time. The winter season, the Advent season of waiting, calls us to embark on that spiritual path. It asks us to be willing to feel the unpleasant stuff. That may seem to be asking more of us than we want to undertake, and sometimes we respond to that invitation as if it's a burden rather than a gift. It certainly doesn't always seem like much of a gift. We just want to be happy, not spend time with our uncomfortable feelings. And if we manage to go there, we may have trouble lingering in our own discomfort. Chodron reminds us just how hard it is for us to linger with discomfort. She says, Trungpa Rinpoche once said that we don't have the patience to stay with uncomfortable feelings for even 3 minutes. When I heard that, I thought, 3 minutes? That would be enough to win some kind of a grand prize. For most of us these days, staying with discomfort for even 3 seconds is a lot of work. Reverend Fees goes on to share, I'm certainly not all that eager to stay with my uncomfortable feelings. I'm actually not good at waiting. I've discovered that I'm not all that patient. That's one reason I spend a lot of time in spiritual practices. I'm not good at waiting for the tow truck or waiting in the "we are experiencing an unusually high call volume" phone queue. I dislike waiting even more than I dislike getting up early, so I schedule my annual doctor's appointments for 7 a.m., which means showing up at 6:45 a.m. just to avoid the wait. I just prefer to get on with things. 15 years ago, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I found myself in that waiting space. My mother had an unusual growth on her thigh and had a surgery right before Thanksgiving. We were all concerned as we waited for the results of the biopsy following her surgery. When the news came, it was even worse than our worst imaginings. She was given a terminal diagnosis with less than a year to live, and she died 6 months later. She had one of the rarest and most aggressive cancers with no known causes. My father was already struggling with dementia, and she was the one attending to his needs. My marriage was on the rocks. I was a full-time minister, and I felt like a complete failure, and my life was out of control. My whole world felt like it was dissolving beneath my feet. The earth was urging me inward, but I had no interest in being with my discomfort, my grief. There were so many tasks and needs to attend to that it was easy to avoid the inner work. And going inward seemed like a pretty terrible idea. Descending into my own body, well, that was too much to ask. I kicked into high gear to find a way to meet my parents' healthcare needs. I deferred any decisions about my marriage. I kept myself busy. I worked a lot. But that couldn't last. I began to color in those adult coloring books to deal with my stress. And I also began writing in a journal every day, sometimes more than once a day. I colored page after page. I wrote poem after poem. On and on, I poured myself onto paper. It'd been a long time since I'd written poetry in a dedicated way like that. The coloring and the writing became my way of being with the discomfort. These practices saved me. My journal in particular became a container for my fear, loss, anxiety, and for all the uncertainty and rage. In the process, I became kinder to myself. I drew into myself, honoring my wounds, and also sought some light, some hope, something to cling on to. I eventually began to experience glimmers of peace and comfort. I slowly grew into a greater acceptance. My natural inclination to get on with things, to keep moving, was of no real use to me. Staying with my feelings was what made it possible for me to embrace the wholeness and the reality and the promise of life and light and also death. Unitarian Universalist minister Leslie Takashi says of this wintering time. This is a time of waiting for a world which can know justice, waiting for a lasting peace, waiting for the bridge to span the divides which separate us, waiting for a promise or a hope. For all of this, we are waiting. And so it is that I waited. So it is, we wait. This inward work of waiting is, as McNeil says, a process that allows us to reconnect, relearn, and reclaim our hopes and dreams so that we can bring winter back to a time of kindness, love, rebirth, peace, and unburdening instead of a time of dread, fear, depression, and avoidance. This time of waiting isn't about letting events take their course or simply hoping for the best while we go into hibernation. We aren't asked to be onlookers. This deep interior reflection has to do with fully embracing our own lives. It's a time for digesting our experiences and facing the future. It is a time to take up the healing work of reconciling with what is. For all of us, this time of wintering speaks to what it means to seek the light, to hold out hope. This is profound spiritual work. Even a few minutes each day to breathe, to listen, to be with our own inner self, to light a candle, say a prayer, to offer thanks. These can enable us to grow in courage and hope. And also, try going outside into the darkness some night. Look at the moon or stars. Notice the chill in the air. Connect to your ancestors from across time and to someone you've lost. Imagine how they too looked to the night sky and thought of those who came before them. Imagine those who have yet to arrive in your life, of what is yet to make its appearance in the world. It took time for me to heal. The light slowly returned. I hope in this season you will take time to go inward. May you let the Spirit of life draw near. That is the path to the rebirth of the light, of peace, of joy. The Reverend Dr. Sandra Fees.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. And I'd like to take a moment before our closing hymn to point out that there are some children who are waiting and hoping that this will be a good Christmas for them. And as you see our angel tree over here in the corner, you can come and pick one of those angels. There's a list of gifts on the back, and you're invited to purchase one of those gifts and bring the gift back next Sunday with the angel still together. So we invite you to honor the waiting and the hope of those children. As our song leaders return, I invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing our closing hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life. Please remain standing afterward for the benediction. I invite Cindy to return to extinguish the candles and the chalice as I read the benediction written by Amy Zucker Morgenstern. Blessed is the dark in which our dreams stir and are revealed. Blessed is the dark of earth where seeds come to life. Blessed are the depths of the ocean where no light shimmers, the womb of all earthly life. Blessed is the light into which we awake, the light that sparkles on the waters, that calls the tree forth from the seed and calls the shadow forth from the tree. Blessed are we as we move through darkness and light. Amen. Blessed be. Go in peace.